It's Sunday, April 19th, 2026, in the very early hours, 12:45 a.m. East Coast time to be specific, as I'm making this video. And this breaking news is something you need to see, you need to hear, and you need to pass forward. Donald Trump's stormtroopers are here. Really, Stephen Miller's and the Heritage Foundation's and everyone else's. What this is the Homeland Security Task Force website, and it was just recently published within the last 24 hours to the internet. To see it, you will need to visit hstf.gov, and there you can see in bold print, no mistakes, we don't negotiate, we dismantle, with this very dystopian AI type of propaganda. To be clear, this is not ICE. This is not one singular agency. This is a multiple agency, local, state, and federal level force, meaning Donald Trump's regime has quite literally created, as I mentioned, stormtroopers, or if you're into the Hunger Games, peacekeepers. These are people that will be on our streets, no matter what city, or county, or town, or borough you live in. So if we go back through the entirety of that executive order, we find a number of unconstitutional moves by this regime, which is not a surprise, but it's something to know about. Number one, they are going to not just suggest, but now require that all individuals in the country without documentation register themselves. Remember that app that came out last year? They want them to register themselves, and they will be asked self-incriminating questions. It says outright that they're going to eliminate all the documents they need to deport someone. Due process is over. And this executive order directly calls out other executive orders as part of the plan. Here's a number of them. Which, by the way, includes this one, which was strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. And yeah, according to that executive order, which links to the other one, which then links back to the website, do you see how they kind of piece everything so it's a puzzle you have to put together on your own? According to that, we see that they are asking for military assets to be used in towns like yours and mine, including but not limited to military and national security assets training non-lethal capabilities and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. Non-lethal weapons just being used on our streets. Oh, and if you're on the right side of history and a law enforcement officer, they're going to try and use this section, holding state and local officials accountable, as a way to literally, federally, criminally charge you. They want anyone who is willfully and unlawfully directing the obstruction of criminal law, their criminal law, Trump criminal law, including by directly and unlawfully prohibiting law enforcement officers from carrying out duties necessary for public safety and law enforcement, or unlawfully engaging in discrimination or civil rights violations under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that restrict law enforcement and activities and endanger citizens. This is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It will make our law enforcement officers at the state and local levels either comply or be charged criminally. This is the makings of something that looks like a civil war. This is the makings of not just, shredding our Constitution, but then shredding it and lighting it on fire. And any American, left, right, up, down, black, white, old, young, doesn't matter. Any American who believes in the Constitution should be just rising up in the streets over something like this. And if you don't believe this is how they're thinking, go look at the website yourself. Federal, state, and local law enforcement working as one. Again, this is not ICE. This is a regime. These are the Gestapo. And this is the beginning of locking us in. It's Sunday.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to our powers, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Racha HaKodash. Giving double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that have taught us this truth, that are constantly ruling well through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And peace, mercy, and blessings to all the dear beloved brothers that are out there pushing this word wholeheartedly in truth and in sincerity, that are not wavering to the left nor to the right, but constantly staying on that straight and narrow, fighting for your crowns in these last days that we are truly living in. Even shalom to the few sisters, the aquafs that are out there, those that are listening and learning in silence, as the scriptures command you to do so, as well as the Israelite foreigners, those that may look like the other nations, but their seed line is going back into our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm the brother Ira, coming back with another lesson to the Lord's willing, edifying. Feed the lambs of the Lord, which I do pray this lesson is edifying to the Lord's elect. And just blowing the trumpet in Zion as, you know, something major is getting ready to go down, which is the reason why they've been preparing for a major civil war. They've been preparing for insurrection of the people because they know that they're getting ready to push people backs against the wall as they continuously keep demolition style destroying this economy. All right. And for years, you know, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, especially Apostle Gabar, from time to time, he always goes into one of the New World Order slogan, which is no mercy. All right. And when you look up, we don't negotiate, we dismantle, the meaning of it is a hardline philosophy rejecting compromise in favor of total destruction or removal of an opponent's structure. It signals an intent to break down systems, organizations, or arguments rather than seeking a middle ground often applied to security, political, or intensely competitive confrontational situations. All right. So they're not going to compromise or meet you in the middle when it comes down to enforcing, okay, their their new world order or their ways. All right. And you know, matter of fact, let me play this because you have U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, who actually made that statement. You know, referring to the Persians as, you know, they don't care how they bomb civilians. They blow up schools, hospitals, things of that nature. So now they getting ready to direct that same energy upon the American citizens. Okay. All right. Matter of fact, before I even go any further, let me grab a precept because see, we always constantly bring this out about Esau, that Esau is known as a bloody man. All right. War is in his heart. They spare not the rod, okay? In order to achieve their goals, they'll take you out. All right? And this is why we always bring this out, because it's going to be through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, that we are spared from the wrath of this man. Okay? This is Psalms chapter 17 and I'm going to start at verse 9. Matter of fact, let me start at verse 8. It says, guard me, this is the NLT, guard me as you would guard your own eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. Protect me from the wicked people who attack me, from murderous enemies who surround me. Okay, and that's what they're getting ready to do as they've been setting up the besiegement. Okay, as we've been saying that there's going to be another lockdown, and they've been putting their soldiers in position, okay? They're peacekeeping soldiers, all right? And you know, ICE, which has been talks about ICE in the news, them kidnapping people, right? A lot of those ICE agents are IDF soldiers, okay? Israeli soldiers, all right? So a lot of these soldiers that are being positioned are men of actual other nations that doesn't have any mercy or care for the average American citizen. All right. So they're not going to have any mercy when they're charged with their orders to fulfill their orders, you know? So you have to expect that it's going to be straight raw out here. It's going to be straight raw, you know? I ain't anybody that don't comply is just could be just straight put to death. All right? So it says, "Protect me from the wicked people who attack me, from murderous enemies who surround me. They are without pity. Listening to their boasting, they track me down and surround me, watching for the chance to throw me to the ground. They are like hungry lions, eager to tear me apart, like young lions hiding in ambush." Now here's the point that I wanted to get. It says, "Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." All right. So these Edomites that are getting ready to come down upon the inhabitants with great wrath, right? No mercy, no remorse. They're the sword of the Most High. So the Most High is getting ready to display his anger through these Edomites by putting hell upon the people, all right, for judgment. This is Revelation chapter 12 and verse 12. It says, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time." All right. And these devils know that their time is running short. So they're moving fast with, their plans. Okay. Now, this was the phrase, "no quarters, no mercy," was used by U.S. Secretary of War, right? Which they just named the Department of Defense the Department of War. Okay, so war is in their heart. We're in a time of war, evil. Okay, as the scriptures tell you, you need to know what times we are in, what season are we in. Okay, and this blockade of the Straits of Hormuz, I believe we're going on to 60 days or coming about that time, which they're estimating for the U.S. citizens to completely start feeling the effects of what's going on is during the time of the month of May. As you do have other countries that are being impacted. Okay, Europe is being impacted, India is being impacted, right? But they're saying the squeeze and the Americans are going to feel it more. It's going to be more projected in the month of May. Okay, and May is next month. All right. So you have to expect that. All right, anything could change in the next few months. Anything, all hell could break loose. The time of Jacob's trouble can be in full effect. This goes to show you how much prophecy is speaking. Okay. So it says the Secretary of War Pete Hegseth in March 2026 to describe a fiercely aggressive military posture against enemies, particularly in the context of Iran, sparking legal and ethical debates. This statement, denoting that no prisoner will be taken, is often described as a violation of the laws of wars, specifically the Hague Convention. Okay, so you see that's the spirit that's on these Edomites. All right, no mercy. That's the spirit that's on them. Matter of fact, let me play this. Let me go right here. Let me see if it'll pop up. Let's do this.
Pete Hegseth is emblematic of essentially a lawless administration, and he himself is the voice of lawlessness. It's illegal to not protect civilians. It's not simply that civilians might be hurt and that's just the way war is. The Geneva Conventions and other international protocols require that warring parties, belligerent parties, actually go out of their way to make sure that civilians are not killed, even if it's, quote, collateral damage. Now, all of these laws, as we've been discussing on this show, are routinely violated. But what's clear and different about the Trump administration is that they're openly bragging about their lawlessness.
See? They're in the spirit of death. Okay? All right? And this is what John the Revelator described as he compared them to the red and the pale horse. All right? This is Revelation chapter 6 and verse 8. It says, "And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death." Okay? Now, this ain't literally talking about a horse and a rider. This is literally talking about the nation of Edom. Okay? They're described as the red horse or the pale horse. Okay? They have the power. All right? And they have the power to put you to death. Okay? And they're getting ready to show that power through what? Force. All right? And making you comply with what? The New World Order and the system change, and you getting chipped up when they make that new way of registering yourself mandatory. All right? Because everybody in the US is going to have to re-register themselves under this new system. Okay? Which the chip is going to be a device to contain information. All right? As when you go into the word Mark in Revelation 13, it goes into what? A charagma. Okay? Charax, something that is impelled or stamped inside of you. And then the grapho is the writings of the information. Okay? As well as the ability to continuously buy and sell and, deal with commerce in order to be incorporated into this into their society, in order to, be a part of, the society. Yeah, regular shopping and things of that nature. Y'all know what I mean. So it says, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth parts of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beast of the earth. So look, the scriptures say they have the power to kill with the sword. They could use their weaponry, military, right? And then also to bring about what? Famine. Okay? They can use disease warfare against you. Okay? And this is what they're doing right now. They're getting ready to take away your food. They're getting ready to take away your water. Okay? All right? And we've been saying that what? An evil time is getting ready to happen. Okay? As we get closer to the end. All right? Matter of fact, let's check this one out as well. Let's watch this video. This I was watching this early on my way back here. Let's pause this. Now this is from Redacted, but let's just check this video out as well. We're not gonna watch the whole thing.
Global disaster. Well, it appears that way. A few days ago, Professor Robert Pape posted this on X with an ominous warning. Within 10 days, parts of the global economy will start running short of critical goods. After 30 years studying economic sanctions and blockades, I don't say this lightly, not just higher prices, shortages. Markets are not ready for this. He posted that on April 12th, so in 2 days, we'll have hit the professor's 10-day deadline in Escalation Trap. By the way, that's the name of his Substack, by the way. And just about 2 hours ago, the Kobalisi letter published this on the economy. It's official. The world is now experiencing its biggest energy crisis in history. with 600 million barrels of oil of lost oil supply. U.S. gas prices are up 47% since December. They were already going up before this war. And inflation is nearing 4% in a similar path to the 1970s. What happens next? Let us explain. And you can read there. They do a great job over there as well. Meanwhile, the Iran war may be heading right back into open war. Over the weekend, the United States seized an Iranian-flagged cargo ship. Friend of the show, Larry Johnson, said this was piracy. This was an act of war, trying to clear the Strait of Hormuz, saying it was trying to break the American blockade. Tehran called the move armed piracy and vowed a response to this. Meanwhile, a U.S. team led by J.D. Vance was heading to Islamabad, Pakistan for a new round of talks, even though the Iranian side say they haven't even agreed to anything. So J.D. Vance essentially might be going into an empty room. Just kind of sort of sitting there. Maybe they'll have some tea and coffee and he can just sort of sit there and no Iranians show up to talk to him. Fox's Tel Aviv reporter says Trump called him, talked to him on the phone, and told him they're going to blow up everything in Iran if they don't come to the table. Watch.
I just spoke with President Trump for about 20 minutes, and he told me if Iran does not sign this deal, the whole country is getting blown up. He went on to say that bridges and power plants will be targeted if Iran does not sign this agreement. The president telling me that U.S. Special Envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are heading to Islamabad, Pakistan for meetings on Tuesday, possibly into Wednesday, to try and get this agreement across the finish line. The president telling Fox News this is a very simple deal, but this is the last chance for the Iranians. The president very clear in our conversation that he is not making the same mistake that President Obama made, giving cash to the Iranians and allowing them to continue a nuclear program. The deal on the table is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to ensure that the Iranians do not have this highly enriched uranium that is buried deep underground after Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. And again, the president telling Fox News that the entire country will be blown up. Bridges and power plants will be targeted if the Iranians do not sign this agreement.
So Fox News sure loves that. Absolutely. Professor Robert Pape is the director of the Chicago Project on Security and Threats at the University of Chicago and the author of Escalation Trap on Substack. Professor, great to have you here on the show. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's really quite a pleasure to be with you.
Well, it's our honor, and I wanted to kind of wind the clock back to something you posted a few days ago on April 12th about where we are heading. Within 10 days, parts of the global economy will start running short of critical goods. After 30 years, as you've been studying economic sanctions and blockades, you don't say this lightly. Well, we're about 2 days away now from your sort of prediction. Anything you want to change in your prediction or maybe accelerate it?
We're ahead of schedule. So just 4 or 5 days after I made that prediction, and by the way, there's a much longer paper on the Substack that really goes into it. Of course, you can't do that in a tweet. That jet fuel. We're running about a month. It's about a month before we're going to be out of jet fuel in Europe. And you're already seeing that airliners are already cutting back. So Air Canada is cutting back their flights to LaGuardia for a month at this point, maybe longer. It's not clear when they'll restart them. I spend a lot of my time now on different media with Australia. 80% of their oil comes in here into this essentially an island continent. And they're really already strapped and in crisis. And I also spend a lot of time with India because they are already experiencing dramatic shortages as well. So what you are seeing here play itself out. And now for your audience, I think it's important to understand there's 3 stages I'm explaining. It's not just a crystal ball, throw the dart prediction. There's 3 stages. Stage 1 is for the first 45 or so days, you have, when you have a cutoff, you have prices go up. And then you get into the 45 to 60 day range, and that's that 10-day period you're talking about, where you actually start to have the shortages occur. And that's what you're seeing emerging now. And then as you go from day 60 to day 90, the shortages get worse and worse. It's not like shortages stop, and prices keep getting worse and worse. But then you have contraction kick in. And that's really what will start to kick in by May 31st here. So
Yep. So Professor Robert Papp is explaining, or did explain, right? You got the other nations, just like what the scriptures say, the prophecy, right? Let's get this in the book of Matthews. No, not Matthews. I'm sorry. Luke chapter 21 and verse what do I want? Yep. Luke 21 and 25. And look at what the headline of it says. It says the return of a Mashiach. So all these signs that we're seeing, these things that are happening, is all for the return of our Lord Yahweh Shai. Okay, to come and do what? To gather the elect, all right, out of captivity. Okay. So these are beautiful signs in our eyes, all right, and that's why we're constantly on the watch, as well as praying. All right, we're going into these topics and subjects, okay, as they're relevant to what? Deliverance and salvation. Hard times must come in order for what? Us to get out of here, okay. So it says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Okay, all right, and he's going into the projection of the timeline, the dates, how long it would take for people to start filling it, countries, right? He's saying that uh uh Australia is filling it, Europe is filling it, people can't travel like they used to. All right, they're running out of jet fuel. Food is getting ready to become a scarcity. Okay, they're getting ready to hoard the water from you. They not telling you that, but they getting ready to hoard the water from you. Okay, so a lot of these other countries, right? I forget what that system is called, but they use uh a system to take the salt water and to pretty much make it clean drinking water. So they've been targeting those to destroy their drinking water. So it's a lot going on, all right? But when you look up the word perplexity, it goes into
Strong's G 639. Apareo.
apareo, which means to be without resources, to be in straits, to be left wanting, to be embarrassed, to be in doubt, not to know which way to turn. Okay, right? And that's what people are in. They're in that mindset. They don't know who to turn to, and pretty soon life is going to stop here in Babylon. Life is going to stop here in America. Okay, you're not going to be able to trust your government right now. You got Jake that's on the internet calling for people to uproar and riot and get into a insurrection state of mind and pretty much burn this bitch down. Okay, all right, because of the unfair wages and things of that nature. All right, people are feeling the squeeze. You know, so the prophecies are going to turn up even more. People are going to turn up even more. You got Eve, she crashing out, the end up crashing out. The average woman is crashing out because she find out that her degrees and going to college and all that shit that she thought that she was running up and on Jake and all that she was doing, it don't mean diddly squat. Not a damn thing, So women are crashing out right now. People are crashing out right now, okay? They don't know which way to turn. They don't know which way to look. But what we've been saying through the spirit, you got to turn to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, okay? Only if you're an Israelite, all right? You must be of the stock of Abraham. Let's keep reading though. It says, to be at loss with oneself be in doubt, right? And let me say this, right? Not only of the stock of Abraham, but it got to be what? Through Isaac and down to Jacob, okay? So you got to come out of the loins of Jacob. You got to be one of the 12 tribes. That's who only salvation is for. So it says not to know how to decide or what to do, to be perplexed. All right. So basically to be without resources, to be in straits, difficult positions. OK, and who feels it? Who feels it the most? The working class citizens feel it the worst. That's why people are being heavily taxed right now. It ain't the billionaires, it ain't the millionaires, it ain't the higher ups. That's why people are coming up against the CEOs of companies, man. You know, all right, because they don't get taxed like the average working class citizen or Jake, you know, that's out here. So yeah, you know, people getting ready to be more into a crash out spirit because of what the embarrassment of trusting in this uh system is now, you know, the American nightmare, you know. And it's crazy because I was watching a video, Salaki, you know, I was watching a video from George Carlin. Matter of fact, let me play that real fast. Baba Kushal, bear with me.
Don't want to populate.
Now you know what they say. They say the truth. People tell jokes because it's the truth. You know? All right? So listen to what George Carlin is saying, and they probably took this man out, you know? But he did this like way back, and I didn't even notice that. Look, 14.4K likes on this video. But let's just listen to what he got to say, because exactly what he was saying back then is exactly what's going on right now.
Of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. That's right. They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
You ain't in it.
You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. Yeah. You know? And nobody seems to notice, nobody seems to care. That's what the owners count on, the fact that Americans will probably remain willfully ignorant of the big red, white, and blue dick that's being jammed up their assholes every day. Because the owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it.
Yep, and it's a nightmare right now, you know? Now people are starting to see what we've been saying. Okay? All right, so let me go back. Let me go back. I'm gonna close out in a second. You know, just want to bring a couple of those points out. All right, but yeah, it's only gonna get worse from here. All right, let's go back. We're gonna play a couple more seconds of this.
So what you're seeing is already the predictions I'm making in terms of the shortages are coming sooner than I was anticipating, not later. And you're already starting to see the glimmers of the contraction. And what you just described with the possible escalation coming, this could actually, I guess, even further double confirm the expectations I had.
What does that mean, contraction?
Yeah, so yeah, that was it. That's all I want to pull out of that. All right, let's grab a couple more precepts. All right, because we at the end. Okay, let me see. I want to say is 1 Peter's chapter 4 and verse 7. It says, "The end of the world is coming soon. Therefore be earnest and disciplined in your prayers." All right, And the scriptures say what? Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. So these devils, they can feel that their world is getting ready to end. Okay, so they're getting ready to exterminate or purge or cull the undesirables of the people. All right, they're going to cause mass panics and chaos and create a great civil unrest and war. But it's all going to be the Lord stirring this thing up. All right, to fulfill what the prophets, what the Lord been having the prophets write down. All right, so we getting ready to see Isaiah 19:2 pop out in a major way. Egyptian versus Egyptian, friends turning on one another. The full storehouses are going to be empty, closed. Okay, people are going to drink their water with astonishment. All right, they're going to drink it drop by drop. Okay, because they're gonna have to preserve what they have. All right, we gonna see people resorting to the unthinkable, looking at their children for meat. So Esau's getting ready to bring all living hell on you, all right? And then guess what? Through draconian measures. The dragon, okay? Let's read this real fast. Job 14:5, it says, seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. You see, so the Most High is putting the spirit on him to make him even feel and think that he has a chance at what? Mass chipping the global world. They getting ready to do away with the banks, try to persuade you to join a private bank, one central bank. There's so much getting ready to happen, But this goes all to show you that what? One global world order, one global monetary system, one global religion, They trying to merge everything all into one, okay? But again, it's to bring about what? The last remaining few pieces of prophecy, okay? Matter of fact, let me just go here real fast. I'm gonna end it off with this. Like I said, I don't want to make this too long, but Lord's willing, it was edifying, All right. Let me see. This is Ezekiel. Yep. Ezekiel chapter 21 and verse 8. It says, again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord. Say, a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth, right? Being in that spirit of, I want to go to the Usher and Chris Brown concert, I want to go to China. I want to, you trying to go travel, you having extravagant parties, you just not in the spirit of watching, you're not in the spirit of praying, you're not in the spirit of just being serious minded, okay? All right. Hey, people's minds are getting ready to crack real soon because they love the pleasures of America. They love the pleasures of Babylon, and the pleasures of Babylon are getting ready to cease. Okay, all these shows, all these different boxing exhibition, boxing match, the Super Bowl, right? The NBA playoffs, what I'm saying? The music, okay? The concerts, right? All that is getting ready to stop. The bread and circus is getting ready to stop, all right? And that's why ultimately the scriptures tell us what? That our minds, Salakia. Dang. Oops. Dang. Salakia. Our mind should be in what? It is what it is. Our mind should be in what? The house of mourning, okay? You know, not in a spirit of mirth. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 2. It says, "It is better to go into the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting. For that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better." You see, it's really made more resilient. It's made more stronger. Okay, fervent. You know, you yearn for release. You yearn for a better situation. Okay, you know, you look into the Lord to get you out of here. All right. You're not comfortable with this place. See, that comfortability, when they strip that comfortability from people, you know, people gonna beg for that comfortability. Okay? And they gonna give it to you in a forceful manner. You know? So it's better to be in a house of mourning and to be always in the feel good mindset, you know. That's why we, you know, we remember the bitterness. All right, that's why when we have our Passovers, right, we really go in and get that horseradish, man. We get them bitter herbs, you know, and them bitter herbs, man. I ain't gonna lie, that I still got some of that horseradish, you know, which I even try to still eat it after the Passover, you know. But it was real bitter, you know. Every bite was like damn near choking, you know, feeling it in your nose and the heat from it, you know, because that it's a reminder where we at, all right, and see that bitterness is getting ready to be increased, you know. So it says it is better to, the heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. See, it says the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. Okay, all right. That's why you don't want to be in the spirit of mirth. Okay, let's go back. Ezekiel 21 and 10. It says it is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree. It says, and he have given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished to give it into the hands of the slayer. Cry and howl, son of man, for it shall be upon my people. Right? Who are the Lord's people? The Israelites. It shall be upon all the princes of Israel. Terrors by reason of the sword shall be upon my people. Smite therefore upon thy thighs. Okay? You see? All right? The Lord's judgment is getting ready to rain out here. It's getting ready to get gruesome. It's getting ready to get bad. So like you seen it getting ready to, you know, bring about more of these troopers out here, these peacekeepers. Okay? All right, and the prophecy goes into that in the book of Isaiah, the 13th chapter. Hey, the Medes shall not regard the silver; they shall dash the young ones into pieces. They shall not spare the fruit of the womb, women that are pregnant, things of that nature, man. All right, but the scripture does say, according to the Lord's elect, right, woman and man, all right, the go not near those that have the mark. All right, the mark meaning the exemption from judgment. Okay, that protection, that hedge, that covering. Okay, that's who's going to be spared. So Lord's willing, you were edified with that. I'm gonna say shalom. Until next time, shalom.